Hey guys, got a new stance on the creeper here. I was tinkering with it last night, doing a total rebuild. Took her down to nuts and bolts, cleaned everything, put in the steel gears, put on the tasty metal servo horns that my client gave me. Oh yeah. And while I was at it, I thought, well, let's try out a slightly different suspension setup on the chassis just to see. So I moved the front links to the most forward mounting point, and I moved the uppers out to the furthest mounting point I could get on them to get the angle I wanted, which leans the front shocks down, dumps the front end, gives it that cool look. See how it matches the links now? This looks cool. Have not had a chance to run it, except just, from the shop to the house at 2 a.m. Right. In my continuing efforts to produce the absolute ultimate Red Cat RS-10 creeper crawler trailer creaker mobile surveillance drone, I've done everything I know that worked on mine. I've put it on this one. But then I went a few steps further on things that I thought would be good, like the steel gears, 10-tooth pinion, and I hadn't done it to mine, so the other night I did it to mine, check it out, to see what the 10-tooth pinion did and what the steel gears do. I like the sound of the steel gears. I mean, I don't know if they offer any performance or anything, but I like the sound of them. It sounds wicked. It's cool. However, I have a feeling my motors are pretty well thrashed, so it's hard for me to get a true impression of how much torque I'm losing, because I think the motors are just down on power output. What I can tell you is my rig is totally thrashed. First of all, these motors have seen a lot of runtime. They've been in the water a lot, mud a lot, so I am sure these are low on output. Just running my wheel speed compared to his wheel speed's much higher. His throttle comes on much snappier. His vehicle lurches around more. When I zip it, zip, the whole thing wants to take off. This is just down on power. It's just the way it is. The motors are thrashed. They're still working, but they're thrashed. My diff is on its way out. That little plastic spur plate on the spur gear that holds the pin is on its last legs, in the front and the back. That's the pin slop. There's also the dog bone to cup slop, which is getting really ridiculous. I'm getting notches in my cups. No broken dog bones yet, but the pin job I did is holding up great. But a lot of slop. As you can see on a brand new one, it hasn't had any run time. This is how much play there is. Pretty much that's the pin inside the spur plate moving back and forth, or the slot between the pin and the shaft, with a little bit of slop from everything else thrown in, but nothing compared to that. Nothing. And then when you try and move the tires opposite each other, they only move a fraction, just the tiniest little bit. That smell much. And mine move this much, okay, like 5 times more. So everything about my vehicle is thrashed, even though I've completely taken this whole thing apart and redone everything in it and attended every little detail. The actual parts that contact each other, metal to metal contact, have all worn in. There's a ton of slop, and my diff is on the way out. Motors are thrashed. ESC's probably seen a lot of use. I don't know how long they last. Battery has been run down to 3.3 a couple of times now. It's never good for it. So all of these things are cumulative to mean mine has a lower spec, a lower expected level of performance than this one does. So I can't make a direct translation from one to the other, but I can get some ideas about the changes and what they're doing. So I still need to do more testing before I can get definitive about what I think about 10-tooth pinions on this thing. and whether it would be a good idea to maybe put an 8-tooth pinion in the rear, or to put 8-tooth pinions back on both of the ends, or whatever. And especially hard to tell with this. I can do some testing indoors to see how it runs and see what I think about it, but not a lot. You know what I mean? I don't want to tear it up, don't want to get it stressed out and broken and filthy before it ever arrives. That's what this one's for. So I'm thinking that where I really need to head is maybe in the near future, just upgrade everything again, get new motors, new diff parts, new everything, and just have this totally rebuilt. So mechanically, it may not look new, but mechanically, it will be back in spec with basically a brand new one. And then I could really tell. I think that would be the safest, best way to do it. Plus, then I would also be doing some much-needed maintenance on my vehicle. It's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.